Hello, and welcome to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and I'm here with my co-host, Julia. Today, we have a powerful topic that can change the way you speak English. Think less, speak more.
Yes, Jason. Many English learners struggle because they overthink before speaking. They worry about grammar, pronunciation, and making mistakes. But here's the truth. The more you think, the harder it gets to speak naturally.
Exactly. Have you ever had a great sentence in your head, but by the time you were ready to say it, the moment had passed? That's what overthinking does. It slows you down and stops you from speaking with confidence.
And that's why today's episode is so important. We'll help you break free from overthinking and give you practical techniques to speak English more fluently and confidently.
Yes, we'll discuss why overthinking is a problem, how to shift your mindset, and simple exercises to train your brain to speak freely. So, if you're ready to stop hesitating and start speaking more, stay with us till the end.
And don't forget, fluency is not about being perfect, it's about being understood. So let's dive into today's topic. Think less, speak more.
All right, Julia, let's get into it. Why do you think overthinking is such a big problem for English learners?
Great question, Jason. Overthinking creates a mental block. Instead of focusing on speaking, learners are busy analyzing their grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. And guess what? While they're thinking, they miss the chance to speak.
That's so true. I've seen learners pause for too long because they're trying to make a perfect sentence. By the time they're ready, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. This is called paralysis by analysis. The brain gets stuck in a loop. Is this correct? What if I make a mistake? Will they understand me? And that hesitation stops them from speaking naturally.
And the funny thing is, native speakers don't worry about these things. They just speak. Even if they make mistakes, they keep going.
Yes. Think about kids learning their first language. Do they stop and think about grammar rules? No, they just try. They make mistakes, and they improve over time.
That's a great example. So, would you say that perfectionism is the biggest reason learners overthink?
Absolutely. Many learners believe they must speak perfectly, but perfection is not the goal. Communication is. Even native speakers make grammar mistakes, but they're still understood.
So, what's the solution? How can learners break free from overthinking and start speaking more fluently?
It all starts with a mindset shift. Stop aiming for perfect sentences and start focusing on clear communication. Instead of worrying about small mistakes, just speak.
I love that. So instead of thinking, is my grammar perfect? Learners should think, can the other person understand me?
Exactly. And we'll talk more about this mindset shift in the next section. But first, I want to ask our listeners, have you ever hesitated too much before speaking English? If yes, you're not alone. Stay with us because we'll show you how to fix this problem.
All right, Julia. Now that we know overthinking stops people from speaking fluently, let's talk about the solution. How can learners shift their mindset?
Great question, Jason. The key is to focus on communication, not perfection. Many learners think they need to speak without any mistakes, but that's not true. The real goal is to make sure the other person understands you.
That makes so much sense. I mean, even native speakers make mistakes all the time. They forget words, change sentences halfway through, and use incorrect grammar sometimes. But no one notices because the focus is on the message.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. Have you ever talked to someone with a strong accent or who made grammar mistakes, but you still understood them?
Of course, I've spoken to many people whose grammar wasn't perfect, but their meaning was clear. That's all that matters.
Yes, and that's the mindset shift learners need to make. Stop worrying about small mistakes and start focusing on expressing your ideas. If people understand you, you're successful.
I love that. So instead of thinking, I must say this perfectly, learners should think, I just need to make sure they understand me.
Exactly. Here's another great tip: think in English instead of translating from your native language. When you translate, you slow down because you're trying to find the perfect words. But if you think in English, your speech flows naturally.
That's a powerful tip. So, what's one small action a learner can take today to start shifting their mindset?
Here's a simple exercise next time you speak English. Focus only on getting your message across, not on speaking perfectly. If you forget a word, use another one. If you make a grammar mistake, keep going. Just communicate.
I love that challenge. Listeners, try it today. Speak without worrying about mistakes, and let us know how it feels.
Yes, and up next, we'll give you some practical techniques to help you speak more and think less. Stay with us.
Now that we've talked about shifting your mindset from perfection to communication, let's get into some practical techniques. Julia, what's the first tip for speaking more and thinking less?
Great question, Jason. The first technique is called the 1-second rule. When someone asks you a question in English, don't wait too long. Give yourself just 1 second and start speaking.
I love that. Many learners pause for a long time, trying to form the perfect sentence. But this rule forces them to just go for it.
Exactly. Even if you don't know the perfect words, say something. Your brain will catch up as you speak.
That's a great tip. What's another technique?
Another great method is shadowing. This means listening to native speakers and repeating immediately. It helps train your brain to think in English without translating.
That's a powerful one. So, learners can listen to English podcasts, YouTube videos, or audiobooks and repeat after the speaker, right?
Exactly. And the goal is not to repeat perfectly, it's to train your brain to respond quickly in English. This reduces hesitation.
Awesome! Here's another tip: use simple sentences. Many learners try to use advanced vocabulary or complex grammar, but that just slows them down.
Yes, speak like native speakers, short and clear sentences. Instead of thinking, I must construct a perfect sentence, just say what's in your mind in the easiest way possible.
Right! And here's one of my favorites: practice thinking in English. If you always translate from your native language, your brain works twice as hard. But if you start thinking in English, you'll speak faster and more naturally.
That's such a good habit. A simple way to start is by describing what you see around you in English, even in your mind. For example, I am drinking coffee, or the weather is sunny today.
That's a great daily practice. Okay, another technique is storytelling. Instead of answering with just yes or no, try to say a little more. It forces your brain to keep speaking.
Good one! For example, if someone asks, did you have a good weekend? Instead of just saying yes, say, yes, I went to the park and relaxed. This keeps the conversation going.
Exactly. And here's one more tip: speak first, fix later. Many learners want to correct themselves while speaking, but that slows them down. Instead, finish your sentence and then adjust if necessary.
Yes. Don't stop yourself halfway to fix a mistake. Just finish what you're saying and, if needed, correct it afterward. The goal is fluency, not perfection.
Wow! These techniques are super practical. Let's do a quick recap. Use the 1-second rule. Practice shadowing. Speak in simple sentences. Think in English. Tell stories. And speak first. Fix later.
Yes, and if you practice even one of these daily, you'll see a big improvement in your fluency. Now, let's talk about how to build confidence while speaking.
Now that we've shared practical techniques to help our listeners speak more and think less, let's talk about something really important: fear. Julia, why do you think fear is such a big problem for English learners?
Fear is one of the biggest reasons people hesitate to speak. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes, being judged, or sounding silly. But the truth is, fear holds you back more than mistakes do.
That's a great point. I always tell learners mistakes don't stop you from improving. Fear does. If you let fear control you, you'll never practice. And without practice, you won't improve.
Exactly. And here's something interesting: most native speakers don't care if you make mistakes. They're just happy that you're speaking their language.
That's so true. Think about when someone speaks your language as a second language. Do you judge them for small mistakes? Or are you just happy to understand them?
Exactly. So here's a mindset shift: instead of fearing mistakes, embrace them. Mistakes mean you're learning. Every time you make a mistake, you're growing.
I love that. So what's one way learners can start overcoming their fear of speaking?
One of the best ways is to put yourself in more speaking situations. The more you speak, the more comfortable you become. Start with small conversations. Order food in English, talk to a friend, or even practice alone.
That's a great tip. Another thing I tell learners is to laugh at their mistakes. Instead of feeling embarrassed, just smile and keep going.
Yes, if you can laugh at your mistakes, you'll feel more relaxed, and when you're relaxed, your fluency improves.
So, to all our listeners, don't let fear stop you. Speak, make mistakes, laugh, and keep going. The more you speak without fear, the faster you'll become fluent.
Absolutely. And up next, we'll give you some daily habits to help you think less and speak more. Stay with us.
Now that we've talked about overcoming fear, let's get into some practical exercises that will help our listeners train their brains to speak more freely. Julia, what's the first exercise?
The first one is called the 1-minute talk exercise. Here's how it works. Pick a random topic, set a timer for 1 minute, and speak about it without stopping.
Oh, I love that. And what if learners don't know what to say?
That's totally fine. If you get stuck, just describe anything related to the topic or repeat a sentence in a different way. The goal is to keep speaking without overthinking.
That's great practice. Okay, what's the next exercise?
The second one is question and answer reflex. Find a list of common questions in English and answer them as quickly as possible without thinking too much.
Nice. So, for example, if the question is, "What's your favorite food?" Instead of hesitating, just say the first thing that comes to mind, right?
Exactly. It trains your brain to respond faster and speak without fear.
Awesome. What's another easy exercise?
This one is fun. It's called Describe Your Day in 5 Sentences. Every night, try to describe your day in just 5 simple sentences. For example, I woke up at 7 a.m. I had coffee. I went to work. I met my friend. I watched a movie.
That's a great way to build a daily English speaking habit. And it forces you to think in English, which is the key.
Exactly. Another exercise is talk to yourself. Just say your thoughts out loud, like I'm making coffee or I need to go to the store. It's like practicing English in your daily life.
That's a powerful one. And here's another record yourself speaking. Pick a topic, record a short audio, and listen to it. This helps you hear your mistakes and build confidence.
Yes, and don't worry about mistakes. Just focus on speaking freely. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
These exercises are so simple but super effective. Let's quickly recap. Do a 1-minute talk, practice question and answer reflex. Try describing your day in 5 sentences. Talk to yourself and record yourself speaking.
Yes, try any of these today, and you'll see a big improvement in your fluency. And up next, we'll share our final thoughts on how to keep practicing daily.
Wow, Julia! We've covered so much today. Why overthinking stops fluency. The mindset shift to focus on communication, practical techniques, the power of speaking without fear, and even simple exercises to train the brain. It's been an incredible discussion.
Absolutely, Jason. And to all our listeners, remember you don't need perfect grammar or a big vocabulary to speak English fluently. You just need confidence and practice. The more you speak, the better you get.
Yes, fluency is not about knowing all the words. It's about using what you know without hesitation. So, don't wait for the perfect moment. Start speaking today.
And don't let fear hold you back. Every mistake is a step forward, so embrace them, laugh at them, and keep going.
Exactly. So here's your challenge. Pick one of the exercises we shared today and try it right now. Whether it's the 1-minute talk, question and answer reflex, or talking to yourself, just start speaking.
And if you found this podcast helpful, make sure to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends who are also learning English. Let's help more people speak with confidence.
Yes! And let us know in the comments, what's your biggest challenge when speaking English? We'd love to hear from you.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, think less, speak more. See you next time.
See you in the next episode. Keep practicing and happy learning. Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Julia. Hey, Julia.
Hey, Jason. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited for today's episode because we're going to talk about something that holds many English learners back: overthinking while speaking.
Yes. Today's topic is Think Less, Speak More, a mindset that can help you speak English more naturally and fluently. If you often hesitate, translate in your head, or worry about making mistakes before you speak, then this episode is for you.
That's right. Many learners think too much before speaking, and that actually slows them down. But what if you could train your brain to speak naturally without hesitation? We're going to share practical tips and strategies that will help you do just that.
And we want you to stay with us until the end because we'll also give you a simple challenge that can make a big difference in how you practice speaking English.
So, are you ready to stop overthinking and start speaking with confidence? Let's get started.
All right, Julia, let's dive into the real problem: overthinking while speaking English. Many learners get stuck in their own heads before they even say a word. Have you ever seen this happen?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of English learners pause too much because they're thinking about grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation all at the same time. And instead of speaking, they just stay quiet.
Exactly! It's like trying to drive a car while constantly checking the mirrors, the dashboard, and the road signs. You end up going super slow or even stopping completely.
That's a great comparison. Overthinking makes people hesitate because they're afraid of making mistakes. And guess what? The more you hesitate, the harder it becomes to speak.
Right. And here's something interesting. Native speakers don't think that much while speaking. They just let the words flow naturally.
Exactly. When we speak in our native language, we don't stop to analyze every sentence, right? So why should we do that in English?
That's the key. When you focus too much on perfection, you lose confidence. You start thinking, what if I say the wrong word? What if my grammar is incorrect? And in the end, you say nothing at all.
And that's the real danger. When you don't practice speaking, you never improve. The people who become fluent are the ones who just speak without worrying too much.
Exactly. Let me ask our listeners something. Have you ever stayed silent because you were afraid of saying the wrong thing? If the answer is yes, then this episode is going to help you.
Absolutely. And don't worry, we've all been there. The good news is that there are ways to stop overthinking and start speaking more naturally, and that's what we'll cover next.
Yes! Coming up, we'll talk about why speaking more and thinking less is the secret to fluency. Stay with us. So, now that we've talked about how overthinking stops you from speaking, let's look at the other side. why speaking more and thinking less is actually the key to fluency. Julia, what do you think is the biggest benefit of this approach?
Well, Jason, the first and most obvious benefit is that you become more confident. When you stop analyzing every word and just start speaking, you train your brain to handle conversations naturally.
That's a great point. It's like playing a sport. If you spend too much time thinking about every move, you'll never react quickly. But if you just play and trust yourself, you get better and faster.
Exactly. And another big benefit is that when you speak more, you improve your fluency. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to form sentences without hesitation.
Yes, and I love this fact. Native speakers don't think about grammar rules while speaking. They just talk naturally. And the best way for learners to do the same is to speak more without worrying too much.
That's right. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you actually sound more natural. Have you ever noticed that some advanced English learners still sound robotic because they focus too much on perfect grammar?
Oh, yes, and that's another benefit. You develop a natural speaking rhythm. When you think too much, you stop and start a lot, which makes your speech sound unnatural. But when you focus on just talking, your words start flowing smoothly.
And here's something interesting. Speaking more helps you learn faster. When you speak often, your brain starts recognizing patterns automatically, so you don't have to memorize grammar rules all the time.
That's true. Just like kids learning their first language, they don't study rules, they just talk and pick up the language naturally. And that's how English learners should practice too.
So, to sum it up, when you speak more and think less, you gain confidence, improve fluency, sound more natural, and learn faster. And the best part? It makes learning English so much more fun and stress-free.
Absolutely. And if you're thinking, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually do it? Don't worry. Up next, we're going to talk about the common fears that stop people from speaking and how to overcome them.
Yes, so stay with us because this next part will help you break free from fear and start speaking with confidence.
All right, Julia. We've talked about why overthinking is a problem and how speaking more can help. But let's be honest. Many English learners still feel afraid to speak. So, let's talk about some of the biggest fears that stop people from speaking English.
Yes, one of the most common fears is, what if I make a mistake? So many learners hesitate because they're scared of using the wrong grammar or the wrong word. Have you noticed this, Jason?
Oh, absolutely. But here's the truth. Making mistakes is part of learning. In fact, mistakes are proof that you are learning.
That's so true. Think about how babies learn to speak. They make tons of mistakes, but nobody tells them to stop talking. They just keep trying, and eventually they get better.
Exactly. So, if you're afraid of making mistakes, change your mindset. Instead of thinking, I can't make mistakes, tell yourself, every mistake is a lesson.
That's a great tip. Another big fear is, what if people laugh at me? Many learners worry that native speakers will judge them or make fun of their accent. But is that really true, Jason?
Not at all. In fact, most native speakers respect and admire people who try to speak their language. And let's be honest, people don't care as much as we think they do. Everyone is busy with their own lives.
Yes, most of the time people appreciate your effort. And let's say, even if someone does judge you, so what? Their opinion doesn't define your progress.
Exactly. Now, another fear is, what if I can't find the right words? Some learners hesitate because they feel like their vocabulary is limited. But guess what? You don't need fancy words to communicate.
That's right. You can always use simple words, gestures, and even synonyms to express your ideas. Think about how kids speak. They don't have a huge vocabulary, but they still communicate effectively.
Yes, And here's a little secret. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. When that happens, they just explain it in a different way. You can do the same.
Exactly. And the last fear we'll talk about is, what if I get stuck and don't know what to say? Many learners freeze in conversations because they don't know how to continue. Have you ever seen this happen?
Oh, yes. But the solution is simple. Use filler phrases to keep the conversation going. Instead of stopping, say things like, "Let me think," or "That's a good question." This gives you time to organize your thoughts.
That's a great tip. So, to sum up, don't fear mistakes. Don't worry about what others think. Use simple words and have backup phrases ready. If you do this, speaking English will feel much easier.
Absolutely! And coming up next, we'll share practical strategies that will help you stop overthinking and start speaking with confidence. So, stay with us. All right, now that we've talked about the common fears that stop people from speaking, let's get to the good part. How can you actually train your brain to think less and speak more? Julia, where should we start?
Great question, Jason. The first thing you need to do is speak without preparing too much. Many learners spend a lot of time thinking about perfect sentences before they speak. But if you want to train your brain, you need to speak first, then correct later.
That's a great point. It's like learning to ride a bike. You don't sit down and plan every movement. You just start pedaling. The same goes for English. Speaking first helps your brain get used to real conversations.
Exactly. And here's another tip: practice speaking out loud every day. Even if you don't have a partner, just talking to yourself helps train your brain to think in English.
Oh, yes. I love this method. Describe what you're doing, talk about your day, or explain your thoughts in English. It might feel weird at first, but it really works.
Absolutely. And to take it a step further, shadowing is a great exercise. Have you heard of it, Jason?
Of course. For those who don't know, shadowing means listening to native speakers and repeating exactly what they say at the same time. It's a powerful way to train your brain to think faster.
Yes. It forces you to react quickly, just like in real conversations. And speaking of real conversations, another great way to train your brain is to put yourself in situations where you have to speak English.
That's a game changer. Join English-speaking groups, talk to strangers, or even use voice chat in English learning apps. When you're in a situation where you must speak, your brain has no choice but to adapt quickly.
Exactly. And another thing, stop translating in your head. Many learners think in their native language first, then translate to English, but this slows you down. Instead, train your brain to think directly in English.
That's a big one. An easy way to do this is to surround yourself with English. Watch English shows, read English books, and even change your phone's language to English. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes.
Yes, so to sum up, speak without over-preparing, talk out loud daily, practice shadowing, put yourself in real situations, and stop translating in your head. These techniques will help you speak faster and more naturally.
Exactly. And up next, we'll share some fun and easy exercises to help you practice speaking more in your daily life. So, stay with us. All right, Julia. We've talked about how to train your brain to think less and speak more. But now, let's make it even easier. What are some simple daily practices that can help English learners speak more and hesitate less?
Great question, Jason. One of the best daily practices is the 1-minute speaking challenge. Every day, choose a topic, maybe your morning routine, your favorite food, or what you did yesterday, and speak about it for 1 minute without stopping.
I love that. And if 1 minute feels easy, increase it to 2 or 3 minutes. The goal is to train your brain to keep talking, even if you make mistakes.
Exactly. Another great practice is talking to yourself in English throughout the day. Just describe what you're doing. I'm making coffee. I need to go to the store. This keeps your brain in English mode all day.
Yes, and if you want to make it even better, record yourself speaking. Listen to your voice and notice what you can improve. It's like giving yourself feedback.
That's such a great idea. And here's another fun one. Use a mirror. Stand in front of a mirror and have a conversation with yourself. It builds confidence because you're getting used to seeing yourself speak in English.
Oh, I love that. And speaking of fun, another great practice is singing along to English songs or mimicking actors from movies or TV shows. It helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence.
Yes! And for those who want more real-life practice, make it a habit to talk to at least one person in English every day. It could be a friend, a language partner, or even a voice message in an English-speaking group.
That's a fantastic challenge. And remember, speaking more is about building a habit. If you make English a natural part of your daily routine, hesitation will slowly disappear.
Absolutely. So, to sum up, try the 1-minute speaking challenge. Talk to yourself in English, record your voice, use a mirror, sing along to songs, mimic native speakers, and speak with at least one person every day. These small daily habits will make a huge difference.
Exactly. And coming up next, we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts and a special challenge for our listeners. So, stay with us. Wow, Julia. We've covered so many powerful techniques today, from overcoming overthinking to daily speaking habits. But before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with some final words and motivation.
Absolutely, Jason. If there's one thing I want our listeners to remember, it's this: perfection is not the goal. Communication is. You don't need perfect grammar or a huge vocabulary to speak English well. You just need the confidence to try.
That's so true. The biggest mistake learners make is waiting until they feel ready before they start speaking. But guess what? The only way to feel ready is to start speaking now.
Exactly. And remember, making mistakes is not a failure. It's part of learning. Every mistake you make is proof that you're improving and getting better. So instead of being afraid, embrace the process.
I love that. And to all our listeners, don't let fear hold you back. Set yourself a challenge. Speak in English every single day, even if it's just for a minute. The more you do it, the easier it will become.
Yes, and surround yourself with English as much as possible. Watch English shows, listen to English podcasts, read in English, and most importantly, speak as much as you can.
Exactly. So before we go, here's a quick challenge for you. Right after this podcast, take 1 minute and talk about what you learned today. Just say it out loud. No writing, no thinking, just speaking.
That's a great challenge, Jason. And remember, you are capable of learning English fluently. Just take it one step at a time, stay consistent, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to keep practicing. We'll see you in the next episode of the English Learning Podcast.
Bye, everyone. Keep speaking and keep growing.
Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host for today.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. We're so happy to have you with us again. Whether you're learning English as a beginner or just trying to become more fluent, you're in the right place.
In today's episode, we're talking about something that happens to every English learner forgetting words while speaking.
Oh yes, it happens all the time. You're in the middle of a conversation and suddenly, your mind goes blank. The word is on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't remember it.
Exactly. And guess what? That's totally normal. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. So today, we're going to help you understand why this happens and what you can do in the moment when it does.
We'll also share practical tips, real examples, and fun ways to stay calm and confident even when you forget a word. By the end of this episode, you'll have a toolkit you can use in any speaking situation.
So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into this very helpful and very real topic: what to do when you forget words while speaking. You know, Julia, I still remember a moment a few years ago when I completely forgot the word umbrella during a conversation in the middle of a heavy rainstorm.
Oh no, what happened?
I was visiting London, and it suddenly started pouring. I ran into a small shop and wanted to ask the man at the counter if they sold umbrellas. But guess what? I totally blanked. I could see the umbrella in my mind. I knew what it looked like, but I just couldn't remember the word.
So what did you do?
I ended up saying, "Do you sell the thing that blocks the rain?" And I pointed upward. The man smiled and said, "You mean an umbrella?" And I was like, "Yes, that's the word." We both laughed. It was a little embarrassing at first, but it turned into a friendly moment.
That's such a great example. I've had similar moments too. Once during a presentation in university, I completely forgot the word environment. I tried so hard to remember, but it just disappeared. So I said, the world around us, nature, people, air, water, and kept going.
That's smart. You described the word instead of stopping. And that's a great strategy we'll talk more about today.
Exactly. These kinds of moments happen to all of us, and it doesn't mean you're bad at English. It just means you're human. What matters is how you handle it.
Yes, and today we'll share exactly how to do that, step by step.
So now that we've shared some real stories, let's talk about why this actually happens. Why do we forget words, especially when we really need them?
Great question. First of all, forgetting words is a normal part of language learning. In fact, even native English speakers forget words sometimes, especially when they're nervous or tired.
That's true. One common reason is anxiety. When you feel nervous, maybe you're speaking in front of someone new or trying to speak perfectly, your brain can sort of freeze and the words just disappear.
Exactly. Your brain goes into stress mode and it becomes harder to think clearly. It's like the word is in your head, but there's a block stopping it from coming out.
Another reason is that you're still building your vocabulary. When we learn new words, they don't always stay in our long-term memory right away. If you haven't used a word enough times, it's easier to forget it.
Yes, and sometimes learners try to speak too quickly. When you speak faster than you think, you might lose track of the words you need.
That's a great point. And sometimes it's not about vocabulary at all. Maybe you're just tired, or your brain is processing too much information at once, especially if you're switching between languages.
Right. It happens to me when I'm learning Spanish. I know the word, I've studied it, but in conversation, poof, it's gone.
So if you're listening right now and this happens to you, don't worry, you're not alone. And the good news is, there are easy ways to handle it, and we're going to talk about those next.
Stick with us, because we're just getting started. All right, now that we know why we forget words, let's talk about when it usually happens. Because if we understand the situations that cause it, we can be better prepared next time.
Absolutely. One very common situation is during introductions or interviews. You want to sound smart and confident, but suddenly your brain freezes and simple words just disappear.
Yes, like you want to say what your hobby is or where you're from, and you forget something basic. That pressure makes it worse.
Another situation is during a phone call, especially in English. Without body language or visual clues, it can be harder to think of the right words.
Good point. Also, people often forget words when they're trying to explain something complicated like giving directions, talking about their job, or sharing an opinion.
And let's not forget classroom situations when a teacher asks a question and everyone's watching you. That nervous feeling can make even simple vocabulary hard to remember.
Exactly. And the emotions that come with it, embarrassment, frustration, feeling not good enough, can really lower your confidence.
Yes, and it's so important to say this: you are not alone. These emotions are completely normal. And forgetting a word doesn't mean you're bad at English, it just means you're in the middle of learning.
And sometimes those emotions are even stronger when you're talking to a native speaker, right?
Oh, yes, you might feel shy or afraid of making mistakes, but the truth is, most native speakers are very understanding when you forget a word. They've been there too in other languages.
So just to sum up, common situations include job interviews, phone calls, class discussions, or deep conversations, and common feelings are nervousness, panic, or self-doubt.
But don't worry, right after the break, we'll talk about exactly what you can do in those moments when the word just disappears.
Stay with us. We've got practical tips coming up next. Now let's get into the heart of today's episode. What can you actually do when you forget a word while speaking English?
We've got 7 smart, simple, and very effective things you can do. These tips are used by both English learners and fluent speakers in real conversations.
Let's start with the first one.
If you forget the exact word, just use a similar one. For example, if you forget the word angry, you can say mad or upset.
Yes, even if it's not a perfect match, people will still understand your meaning. The goal is to keep the conversation going, not to be perfect. This is one of my favorites. Let's say you forget the word hospital. You can say, the place where sick people go.
Exactly. Describe it. Use short, clear phrases. What it does, how it looks, where it is. People will understand, and often they'll say the word for you. If you're talking face-to-face, use your hands. Show the shape, size, or action. If you forget the word phone, pretend to hold one to your ear.
It helps a lot. Communication is more than just words. Body language can fill in the blanks. Sometimes, all you need is a second to remember the word. Don't panic, just pause. You can say, or let me think, or even, what's the word?
Yes, native speakers do this all the time. It gives your brain a moment to catch up without stopping the conversation. You can ask the other person, "What's the word for?" Or "How do you say?" This shows you're trying and open to learning.
People usually love to help, and it turns the moment into a friendly learning opportunity instead of something embarrassing. Many learners say, "Sorry, my English is bad," when they forget a word. But don't do that. You're learning, and that's something to be proud of.
Yes, just smile, stay calm, and move on. Focus on what you can say, not what you forgot. Keep going with confidence. This one's a little unusual, but really powerful. Practice forgetting. Choose a word, pretend you forget it, and then try to describe it or use a synonym.
That's like building a real-life skill. It trains your brain to think flexibly, so when it happens in real conversation, you know exactly what to do.
Let's quickly repeat the 7 smart things you can do when you forget a word. 1. Use a synonym. 2. Describe the word. 3. Use gestures. 4. Pause and use fillers. 5. Ask for help. 6. Keep going with confidence. 7. Practice forgetting on purpose.
These tips are not just for beginners. They're used by intermediate and even advanced learners to sound natural and fluent.
So next time you forget a word, don't panic. Just choose one of these tips and keep the conversation flowing.
Up next, we'll talk about how you can train your brain to forget less often in the future. All right, so we've talked about what to do in the moment when you forget a word. But how about preparing ahead of time? How can you practice so that this happens less often?
Great question. Let's go over some smart and fun ways to train your brain so you're more confident and fluent during real conversations. Take 5 random objects around your house like a spoon, a book, or a pair of shoes. Now, without saying the object's name, describe it.
For example, instead of saying book, you can say it's something you read. It has pages. People use it to learn or for fun.
Exactly. This trains your brain to explain ideas, not just memorize words.
Choose a situation, maybe you're at the doctor, in a restaurant, or meeting a new friend. Then, practice talking as if you're really there.
And if you forget a word during role play, great. That's your chance to practice using one of the 7 strategies we shared earlier. Listen to short podcasts or dialogues. Pause after each sentence, then repeat it out loud. Try to copy the tone, rhythm, and speed.
This helps you build confidence and muscle memory so words come to you more naturally when you speak. Pick a word, then quickly think of 3 to 5 words related to it. For example, coffee, you might say cup, hot, morning, cafe.
This kind of game helps your brain build connections between words, making it easier to remember them later. Choose a topic, talk for 1 minute, and record yourself. If you get stuck, don't stop, describe the word or use gestures.
Later, listen and notice how you handled the moment. Over time, you'll see real progress and build speaking confidence.
Remember, practice doesn't mean being perfect. It means getting comfortable with imperfection and learning how to keep going.
That's the key. The more you practice these exercises, the more automatic your speaking becomes, even if you forget a word once in a while.
Coming up next, we'll give you some encouraging final thoughts to help you stay confident and motivated.
Stick around, we're almost there. Before we end today's episode, we want to remind you of something very important.
Yes, listen closely. It's okay to forget words. It happens to everyone, even native English speakers.
Absolutely. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "What's that word again?" Or "I'm blanking right now"? It's totally normal.
Forgetting a word doesn't mean your English is bad. It just means you're human. You're learning, you're growing, and your brain is doing its best.
And the fact that you're trying to speak in English even when it's uncomfortable is something to be proud of.
So next time you forget a word, don't say, "I'm sorry, my English is terrible." Instead, say, "Give me a second, I'm learning."
Confidence comes from not being perfect, but from learning how to handle those imperfect moments with calm and creativity.
You are doing amazing. Keep speaking, keep practicing, keep showing up.
Because every time you do, you're getting better, even if you don't see it right away.
And remember, fluent speakers aren't people who never forget words. They're people who've learned how to keep going when they do.
You've got this. Keep going one conversation at a time. All right, before we wrap up today's episode, let's have a little fun with a quick speaking challenge.
Oh, I love this part. Are you ready, listeners? Here's the challenge. We'll give you a simple word, but your job is to describe it without saying the word itself.
This is great practice for moments when you forget a word. Okay, here we go. Julia, what's today's challenge word?
Let's go with umbrella. Now don't say umbrella. Instead, try describing it. For example, it's something you use when it rains. It keeps your head and clothes dry. You hold it with your hand and open it above you.
Perfect example. Now, it's your turn, dear listener. Pause the podcast if you need to. Say your description out loud, even better, if you record yourself.
And hey, if you want, send us a message or voice note with your description. We'd love to hear your creativity.
These small challenges help build your speaking muscles and make your learning journey more fun.
All right, great job, everyone. Now let's wrap it up with a few final thoughts.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope this conversation gave you confidence and tools you can actually use when you forget a word while speaking English.
Yes, remember, forgetting a word doesn't mean failure. It means you're learning, and learning always involves a little bit of struggle. That's completely okay.
We've covered everything from why it happens, how it makes you feel, what you can do in the moment, and even how to practice so it happens less often.
And most importantly, we reminded you that you are not alone. Every learner and even every fluent speaker has moments where they pause, forget, or fumble.
So don't give up. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and don't be afraid of mistakes. They're your best teachers.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow our podcast and share it with a friend who's learning English too.
And if you have a question or want to share your story, leave us a comment or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for spending time with us today, and remember, you're doing better than you think.
Keep talking, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode. Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. We're so happy to have you with us today.
If you're trying to improve your English speaking skills, this episode is just for you. Today's topic is something many English learners need to hear. Don't speak perfect English, speak real English.
That's right. So many learners focus too much on being perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, perfect vocabulary. But here's the truth.
In real life, people don't speak perfect English. They speak real English, simple, natural, and relaxed. That's what helps you connect with others and express yourself confidently.
Exactly. Think about it. Do native speakers speak like grammar books? Not at all. We say things like gonna, wanna, or lemme, and we even make little mistakes, and that's totally normal.
So, in this episode, we're going to talk about why it's more important to speak real English than perfect English. And don't worry, we'll give you practical tips, real examples, and even a little practice.
Whether you're a beginner or already on your English journey, we want you to feel relaxed, confident, and ready to speak, not afraid to make mistakes.
All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about a big problem many learners face: the myth of perfect English. So, Julia, let's talk about something a lot of English learners believe: the idea that they have to speak perfect English all the time. What do you think about that?
Honestly, Jason, I think it's one of the biggest things holding people back. Many learners believe they shouldn't speak until their grammar is 100% correct or until their accent sounds native, but that's not realistic or helpful.
Absolutely. I've met so many learners who are afraid to open their mouths because they don't want to make a mistake. They wait and wait, trying to be perfect, and in the end, they stay silent.
Yes. And here's the truth. Even native speakers don't speak perfect English. We pause, we say and we mix up our words, and sometimes we even forget how to say something.
Exactly. And nobody corrects us because that's just how people speak in real life. So, if you're a learner, why are you being harder on yourself than we are on ourselves?
Right. It's like trying to write a perfect book before you've ever written a sentence. You learn to speak by speaking, not by waiting to be perfect.
I love that. You know, I remember a student I had a few years ago. Her name was Anna. She knew a lot of vocabulary and grammar rules, but she was afraid to talk. She always said, "What if I make a mistake?"
Oh, I've heard that so many times.
So one day I said, "Anna, just speak. Make mistakes. I want you to speak bad English today." And you know what? She laughed, relaxed, and spoke more in that one class than ever before. Her confidence changed just because she stopped chasing perfection.
That's beautiful, and it's true. When you stop focusing on perfection, your real learning begins. You get more comfortable, and that comfort leads to better fluency over time.
Another problem is that some learners think native speakers will judge them for mistakes. But guess what? Most people will respect you more for trying, especially if English isn't your first language.
Yes, most English speakers are kind and patient. We don't expect you to speak like a professor. We just want to understand you and have a conversation.
So here's a simple truth. Making mistakes is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're learning. And the more you practice, the more natural your English will become.
I agree 100%. So, if you're listening to this and feeling nervous about speaking, stop waiting to be perfect. Speak now, speak often, speak with joy.
Well said, Julia. All right, now that we've busted the myth of perfect English, let's talk about what real English actually means and why it's what you should aim for.
All right, Jason, we've talked about why perfect English isn't necessary. Now let's dig into this question. What exactly is real English?
Great question, Julia. Real English is the kind of English people actually speak in daily life. It's not always formal, it's not always grammatically perfect, but it's natural, relaxed, and clear.
Right. Real English is what you hear in everyday conversations at the coffee shop, in the office, on the street, or even when friends are chatting. It's full of expressions, contractions, and shortcuts.
Exactly. Let me give a quick example. A textbook might say, I am going to visit my grandmother this evening. But in real life, most people just say, I'm going to visit my grandma tonight.
Yes. And that second sentence sounds more casual, more natural, and that's what people actually say. Real English is full of phrases like gonna, wanna, lemme, gotta, and so on.
Also, real English often includes small words that don't mean much like, like, or kind of. They help make speech flow more naturally.
And it's not just words. Real English includes how we say things. The tone, the speed, the rhythm we speak in chunks or short phrases, not one word at a time.
Exactly. Native speakers often connect their words. For example, we say, did you eat? But it sounds like did ya eat? Or, what are you doing? Becomes, what you doing?
So if you're listening and thinking, I don't understand native speakers, don't worry. It's probably because they're speaking real English, not slow textbook English.
And that's totally okay. The good news is you can learn real English by listening more and practicing with real materials like this podcast.
That's why it's important to focus not just on rules and grammar, but also on how English is used in real life. That's the kind of English that will help you in conversations, jobs, travel, everywhere.
So remember, real English equals natural English. It's simple, clear, and confident, not perfect or fancy.
All right, so now that we know what real English is, let's compare it to textbook English and talk about how to spot the difference.
Okay, so now let's look at a very common question English learners have. What's the difference between real English and textbook English?
That's such a good topic, Jason. I think most of us start with textbook English when we first begin learning, and that's okay. It gives us the basics.
Definitely. Textbooks teach grammar rules, vocabulary, and sentence structure. They say things like, hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. And you?
That's the classic. But let's be honest, when was the last time you heard two people say that in real life?
Almost never. In real conversations, people say, hey, how's it going? I'm good. You?
Exactly. Real English is more casual, more flexible. It reflects how people actually speak, not how we're supposed to speak in perfect sentences.
Also, textbook English usually doesn't teach idioms, slang, or natural expressions. For example, a textbook might teach, I am very tired, but real English might be, I'm beat, I'm wiped out, I'm totally exhausted.
Or instead of, it is raining heavily, we say, it's pouring. It sounds more real and expressive.
Another thing, textbook English often feels too formal. You don't need to speak like a business letter every time. You can say, hey, not just hello, or thanks, instead of thank you very much.
And here's something important for our listeners. You don't have to throw away what you learned in textbooks. Just add real English on top of it. Mix both.
Yes, use the grammar you've learned, but don't be afraid to sound natural. If someone says, what you doing later? Now you'll know that it means, what are you doing later?
So, in summary, textbook English equals clean, correct, but formal and not always natural. Real English equals casual, simple, and sounds the way people talk in everyday life.
And remember, both types have value. But to communicate well, real English is your best friend.
Coming up next, we'll talk about why mistakes are actually helpful and how they make you a better English speaker.
So, let's talk about something really important, making mistakes. A lot of learners are afraid of them, right?
Oh, totally. Many learners think, if I make a mistake, people will laugh at me, or I'll sound stupid. But that's just not true.
Yes, mistakes are a natural part of learning. In fact, they're one of the best ways to learn. Every mistake gives you feedback. It shows you where to improve.
Exactly. Think about how babies learn to speak. They don't wait until they know every word. They just speak. They say things wrong, and people gently correct them. That's how they grow.
I love that. And honestly, even native speakers make mistakes. We forget words, we use the wrong tense, or we mix things up and we just keep going.
Right. Nobody says, oh no, you used the wrong verb, you failed. No, we just keep the conversation going.
So, if you're a learner, here's the truth. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Be afraid of missing the chance to speak.
That's powerful. Every time you speak, even with mistakes, you're getting better. You're training your brain to use English naturally.
So the next time you're about to say something in English and you feel nervous, just go for it. Mistakes mean progress.
Coming up, we're going to give you some real-life phrases and examples you can use to sound more natural, even if you make a mistake or two.
All right, so far we've talked about real English, the myths about perfection, and why mistakes are okay. Now let's talk about one of the best ways to learn real English, listening to real conversations.
Yes, this is such an important point. Many English learners spend a lot of time reading grammar books or memorizing vocabulary, but real improvement often happens when you listen to how English is actually spoken.
Exactly. When you listen to real conversations like podcasts, interviews, YouTube videos, or even movies, you get to hear the rhythm, the tone, and the natural flow of the language.
And you also hear real expressions that people use in daily life, things like, no worries, what's up, sounds good to me. These don't usually appear in textbooks, but they're so common in real life.
Absolutely. Also, listening helps you understand how native speakers connect words. For example, instead of, what are you doing? You might hear, watch doin'?
Right. And the more you hear it, the more you get used to it, your ears start to recognize patterns. You don't even have to understand every single word to learn.
That's a great point. Even if you only understand 60 to 70% of what you hear, you're still learning. Your brain is working in the background, noticing pronunciation, tone, and sentence structure.
And here's a tip for our listeners. Don't just listen once. Listen to the same conversation multiple times. First, just enjoy it. Second, listen for new words. Third, try repeating the sentences out loud.
Yes, that technique is called shadowing. It means you listen and repeat right after the speaker, almost like an echo. It helps you sound more fluent and natural.
And remember, it's okay if you don't sound perfect at first. You're training your ears and your mouth at the same time. That's how real learning happens.
So, whether you're listening to this podcast, watching a show, or chatting with friends, just keep your ears open. Real English is everywhere.
And the more you listen, the more confident you'll feel. Your speaking will improve naturally because you're feeding your brain real English input.
Up next, we'll give you some simple ways to practice real English every day, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country.
Now let's talk about something super practical using simple, natural phrases. Because sometimes learners think they need to sound smart to speak good English.
Yes, I hear this a lot. Learners try to use long or complicated words to sound fluent. But in real English, native speakers usually keep it short and simple.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying, "I am unable to attend the meeting today," a native speaker might just say, "I can't make it today."
Right. Or instead of, "I will attempt to finish the report," you can just say, "I'll try to finish the report."
That sounds much more natural, and it's easier to understand too. Speaking simply doesn't mean your English is weak, it means it's clear and confident.
Also, natural phrases are used every day. Things like, "No problem," "Take care," "That's fine," "Sounds good." These make your English feel friendly and real.
Here's a fun tip for our listeners. When you hear a phrase you like, write it down. Keep a small notebook or use your phone. Then try to use those phrases in your own conversations.
I love that idea. And when you use these phrases often, they become part of your speaking style. You don't have to think about grammar, the sentence just comes out naturally.
So don't worry about sounding fancy. Focus on sounding natural and comfortable. That's how real communication works.
Coming up next, we'll give you some easy ways to practice real English in your daily life, even if you're not living in an English-speaking country. So now that we've talked about simple, natural phrases, let's go one step further. How can you practice real English in your daily life?
Good question. Many learners say, "I don't live in an English-speaking country," or "I don't have anyone to practice with." But guess what? You still have options.
Absolutely. One of the best ways is to talk to yourself in English. It sounds funny, but it really works. You can describe what you're doing. "I'm making coffee." "I'm going for a walk." "It's a nice day today."
Yes, and you can also practice thinking in English. Instead of translating from your native language, try forming your thoughts in English even if it's simple. That builds fluency.
Another great idea. Record yourself speaking. Pick a topic like "my favorite food" or "what I did today," and speak for 1 or 2 minutes. Then listen back and notice how you sound.
That helps you hear your pronunciation and find areas to improve, just like a coach reviewing a game.
Here's another one. Language exchange apps. You can find people online who want to learn your language, and in return, you speak English with them.
Also, watch videos with subtitles. First, listen with subtitles in your language, then switch to English subtitles, then try without any. It trains your ears step by step.
One more fun idea, shadowing. Play a podcast or video and repeat what the speaker says, like an echo. You're copying real speech, rhythm, and intonation.
So the key is, make English part of your daily routine. You don't need a classroom, you just need small daily practice.
Coming up next, let's talk about something we all love. Fun. Yes, we'll share how real English learning can be fun and full of joy.
Let's talk about something that stops many learners from speaking overthinking.
Oh, yes, that voice in your head that says, "Is this the right word? What if I say it wrong? What if they don't understand me?" And then you say nothing at all.
Exactly. Overthinking can freeze your confidence, but the truth is communication is not about perfection. It's about connection.
Well said. If your message is clear, that's enough. People don't care if your grammar is perfect. They care about your meaning, your tone, your smile.
So the best advice? Just speak. Don't try to build a perfect sentence in your head. Say what you can with the words you know.
And if you get stuck, it's okay to pause, smile, and try again. That's what fluent speakers do too, even in their own language.
The more you speak without fear, the faster you'll grow. So remember, don't overthink, just speak. You've got this.
Coming up, let's bring the joy back to learning. We'll talk about how to make English learning fun and enjoyable every single day. Let's talk about something really useful, how to use real English in different everyday situations.
Yes, English sounds different depending on where you are or who you're talking to. For example, the way you talk to a friend is different from how you speak to a teacher or at work.
Right. With friends, you might say, "Hey, what's up?" Or, "Want to hang out later?" But at work, it's more like, "Could we schedule a meeting?" Or, "Please let me know if you need help."
And don't worry if you don't get everything perfect. Using simple, natural phrases that fit the situation is what really matters.
Exactly. The more you practice real English in different situations like shopping, traveling, or at school, the more confident you'll become.
And the great news? You don't need to memorize complicated sentences. Just listen, observe, and try to use what feels natural.
So remember, real English is about being yourself and adjusting to your situation.
Coming up next, we'll wrap up with some final tips to keep you motivated on your English learning journey.
All right, Julia, as we come to the end of today's episode, let's leave our listeners with a powerful message.
Yes, if there's one thing to remember, it's this. Progress is more important than perfection.
That's right. Every step you take, no matter how small, moves you forward. Don't get stuck trying to be perfect. Real English is about communicating, connecting, and growing.
And don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Everyone learns at their own pace.
Celebrate your progress, your courage to speak, and your willingness to keep trying.
Remember, mistakes are part of the journey, and every time you speak, you get better.
So keep going, keep practicing, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.
You've got this. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of English Learning Podcast.
Wow, Julia, we covered a lot today. From breaking the myth of perfect English to practicing real English every day.
Yes, Jason. And remember, the key is to keep it simple, natural, and fun. Use real phrases, listen to real conversations, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
One last tip, be patient with yourself. Learning a language is a journey, not a race. Celebrate small wins and keep practicing.
Also, try to speak English a little bit every day, even if it's just a few sentences to yourself or with a friend.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more helpful episodes like this.
Thanks for joining us today. Keep speaking real English, and see you next time on English Learning Podcast.
Take care and happy learning.